In a moment, Harjap Singh Bhangal, UK immigration lawyer, is going to be with us. First, Tony Smith, former head of UK Border Force. Good afternoon to you, Tony. Always good to talk. I know I've said this before, but you and I have been discussing this for about 2 decades. And, you know, here we are still in the same immovable position. We get politicians from all sides, but it's Labour that happen to be in power, so they have to take this on the chin, talk about how we're getting to grips with it. But no one's at the coalface of the problem, are they? You know, it's all very well saying, well, we're going to put limitations on how long you can be here, and, you know, we'll try and morph the accommodation so it goes from hotel to, I don't know, barracks or something. But the actual stopping of people coming on boats is the bit that no one's been able to get to grips with. Is it actually possible?
Well, it is possible, Ian, to stop the boats, but I'm afraid it requires a very significant change in political will, leadership, probably a change to the British Constitution itself, actually. Yeah. Certainly demurring from a number of international conventions, the like of which that sort of political leadership, in my experience, quite a lot of it now, has only been seen in Australia by Tony Abbott with the Operation Sovereign Borders, where they did stop the boats. That's not the same, actually. It's a lot of differences we could discuss between that and the boats coming here, but he did have that political will. He was vilified in Australia for doing it, and by a lot of by courts, international affair, but he did it, and he did stop the boats. And now, more recently, of course, President Trump, we are seeing asylum seekers being turned away now at the Mexican border, again running the gauntlet with courts and lobby groups in America and international organisations. But that is the sort of leadership you need, somebody that has got the brass neck almost, if you like, to take on the establishment on behalf of the people and say enough is enough. And I'm afraid that we haven't seen that.
We never see it, do we? And I mean, even if you're not a Trump supporter, you just know that if he was in charge here, this would not be happening. I'm confident enough to say that, Tony, that if he was the Prime Minister, people would not be coming across on boats. He would have found a workaround on the system. And you could be the greatest critic of Trump, and boy, I'm on that list of being a critic of Trump. However, on those points, the way I'm listening to him respond to the attempted murder of 2 National Guards in Washington yesterday, just the words that are used, and what we tend to get is a sort of a pre-prepared press release that a Home Secretary reads out that's been written by some spad somewhere, and they stand at the dispatch box and in very sort of clinical, clipped tones read out this, you know, very fluent response. There's no fire in the belly on these.
Well, that's what I mean. Obviously, it's a different political system in the States. You know, he's the president. He can issue executive orders. He can whistle up the military at a moment's notice and put them on the southern border, help out the border patrol, all sorts of things that he can do. And I mean, he'll have his battles with Congress. But I do think that, you know, here, firstly, we're not going to be able to send them back to the EU, are we? You know, the one-in, one-out scheme isn't really going to do it, I don't think, Ian.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. It's still around, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still around, but I mean, do you really think that's going to stop people in Calais from coming across? You know this. You've been down there. You've worked down there. You know, I think you've got to disincentivize the crossings, and that means making life really, really uncomfortable for migrants who do come across, and that means detaining them, deporting them, riding roughshod through a number of pieces of legislation, international and national legislation, and investing significant in detention accommodation, looking at the Harjap Singh judgments, and you can detain people for as long as you like under if they're illegal, you know, fighting off countries that are just not playing ball on returns. All of those things is a really tough measures, and lots of people, you know, to the left will be shouting at their radio, and I say, you can't do all that, that's outrageous. But if we really want to do this, then it does require that sort of bold approach, a very bold approach politically, and a very significant change in direction to what we've got now. As things stand, I think we muddle along. You know, weather is good for us in the channel. You know, you see MPs tweeting, "Oh, look, we've done really well. There weren't any boats last week."
But how bad is that we have to rely on the wind and the sunshine to determine what our immigration policy looks like?
But that's it. It's the weather, really, that's the main deterrent at the moment. There's plenty massing to come across.
Yeah.
And, I think we're going to keep running at about 40,000, 50,000 a year. I'm hoping that the one in, one out will ramp up to thousands, but I'm not confident it will, looking at the state of French politics and EU politics at the moment. So the public tolerance level will, I think, continue to be, this has to stop. We have to stop it. But I'm afraid under this administration, or even a new administration, we would need that kind of very bold political approach.
Yeah.
But what is good news for them, Ian, is the net migration figures. I think 204,000 net is a very significant reduction on what it's been in the last couple of years. And the main reason for that, they'll all argue about it's up to us or it's down to us, Labour, Conservatives. It's down to reversing the disastrous Boris wave that was introduced after COVID, where visas were granted to pretty well everybody who wanted to come here. And we had huge numbers of people coming, some of whom or most of whom actually are still here. Now, we've still got numbers coming, and we're up to 380 odd thousand of these are still coming in from non-EU countries.
Sure.
The new bit has been because more and more British people and European people who were settled here have decided that they want to go and live somewhere else. So we are seeing a demographic change in the population, Ian, even though the figures are a lot better in terms of overall. So, there's a lot going on in the world of immigration, legal and illegal immigration. It's not going to stay out the headlines for long, I don't think.
And we didn't even get on to the 53,000 that have gone missing, but maybe we'll save that for another day, Tony. Great to have you with us as ever. Thank you, Tony Smith, former head of the UK Border Force. He knows his way around this story. Someone else very familiar with this terrain, UK immigration lawyer Harjap Singh Bhangal. Good afternoon to you. Nice to have you with us again.
Good afternoon, Ian.
I mean, I've always said this, whether you're left-wing, right-wing, whether you're a lawyer, not a lawyer, whatever, we can all surely agree that the situation, particularly the Channel situation, is unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great when you have boats coming in, people risking their lives and, no sense of control over knowing who's coming in and who isn't. You have a system that's broken, but more importantly, you have an administration, you have an executive which is supposed to carry out all of your laws that you've made out, which is absolutely not fit for purpose. And how many times have we sat here and spoke about this, I think over at least the past 10 years, that this whole Home Office is absolutely not fit for purpose. And the worst thing is that the MPs and the Home Office itself tells us this, that we can't handle this. Well, who can, and why can't you handle it? You have funding. And instead of giving yourself bonuses and pay rises, as the top execs do in these sort of organizations, why don't you start developing a system that does work or has worked previously and make it fit for purpose? And this is the whole reason for this whole mess. What you get is you're developing laws and visa systems where you're not vetting or not seeing that perhaps you're going to have a Boris wave as such. You then have people here who go missing. You have no tracking on them. Last week, a report came out that 2,000 kids, minors, were missing in asylum seekers. You've now got today evidence or a leak as such, not verified, but a Home Office at 50,000 odd people who are supposed to be reporting on and signing on are now absconding. That's nothing new, people absconding. But the numbers obviously will upset people. And this is something that Labour have to get control on. They realise, look, we've got 4 years left. We really have to get a control on this. They've been doing some things that are right. So pulling out the pull factors as such for migrants, for the legal migrants. Now, that's going to create problems in itself because you've got the care industry up in arms saying, well, hold on, you promised carers that you'd give them indefinite in 5 years. Now you're saying 15 years. Why should they stay here? They can move on to other countries such as Canada, Australia. And you've got them saying, well, our the care industry specifically saying, well, our industry is going to be decimated. But on the other flip side, you have the government saying, well, there are only 130,000 vacancies and 600,000 odd, including dependents, of which half were dependents, actually came on care visas. So we've got more than enough. So the legal migrants here feel they've been punished for coming here on visas and working here legally. And there's problems and friction between them and illegal migrants, because they look at the illegal migrants and say, well, hold on, we're paying tax, we came here legally, we had to fit the requirements, ABC, and there's people coming on boats, they're staying in hotels, they're getting 50 odd pound a week. You know, they don't have to work, or they're not allowed to work. So why are we treated differently? It's a total mess, Ian.
It is a total mess. Harjap, it's a great analysis. Great to have you with us again as well. Harjap Singh Bhangal, UK immigration lawyer.